Hey guys, and welcome back. Today we are going to be hopping along with Scrap and Stamp for the Let's Get De-Stressed blog hop. This is a really fun one using Distress Oxide, so let's get started. So I have my Distress Oxides here, and I'm going to be starting with my blending brush. This is the fossilized amber I'm starting with. I will also be using the Seedless Preserve, Faded Jeans, Candied Apple, and Cracked Pistachio. I'll have everything that I'm using linked over at my blog, so go ahead and check that out. So like I said, I'm just really using these standard ink blending tools just to lay down this Distress Oxide onto this Nina White Classic Crest cardstock. Nothing special. I'm going to speed it up so you don't have to sit through the whole process. So I'm actually adding all the colors that I have set out to this card panel in particular here, and this is an A2 size standard card. And I have a scrap piece of paper that I am putting underneath my hand just so I don't move any of those oxides or activate those oxides with any moisture that might be on my hands, and I don't want to get any fingerprints in them. So that just helps to protect my image as I'm blending along. Once I get the colors that I like, I'm actually going back and forth between the different colors just to really get a nice seamless blend. That seems to work best for me. I like a smooth transition between the colors, but you can do it however you like. Just to finish this panel off, I'm adding just some water over top and then blotting it up, and that's going to finish my first panel. I'll just heat set it here just to make sure it doesn't move around on me anymore. So the next panel I am using the Seedless Preserves. Again, I'm starting out the same way, and I think on this one I actually had accidentally picked up the fossilized amber ink blending tool, and I stuck it into the Seedless Preserves, and it gave me just a different tone, but that's okay. It's not a big deal. It blends out beautifully in the end. And now I'm adding that fossilized amber and just again going back and forth between those colors, making sure I'm using that scrap piece of paper just to ensure I'm not leaving fingerprints or reactivating or activating those oxides when I don't want them to. So that was a really quick one. I did do some splotches there, and you can see how it's activated. I'm going to bring in some Cracked Pistachio now, just really giving it kind of a distressed look. Pun intended on that one for our blog hop. So yeah, just laying down, now that I'm putting the oxides, I'm just smushing them onto my craft mat, spraying it with some water, and then laying that cardstock down. And I start out here, I was going to use my Stamp Perfect, and then I realized that this Starry Nights background stamp was just too big, so I'll pull out my trusty Tim Holtz one. This is my preferred one to go to for bigger stamps, any that have a bit of thickness to them. I'm inking it up just with the Versamark ink onto some Nina White Classic cardstock there, making sure I get a nice even impression that stamps down all over that piece of cardstock. I will add some clear heat embossing to that and then just heat set it, so nothing too fancy on this one. And this is moving on to our third background now. And then once I've got all that melted, I'll start working with my Distress Oxides. And I'm just, again, smushing them onto my Ink Essentials craft mat. And then I just laid it down, and I wasn't 100% happy with how that turned out, but that's okay. The beauty of Distress Oxides is you can go back in and keep working them. You can just keep layering them over top. You saw that with the second card that I did there. I just layered more oxides on top. They layer really nicely. They give you that chalky look, and there's no chalk in them though. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on to my fourth background, and I got this embossing folder with my Gemini Junior when I purchased it, so it's just one that came with that package. Again, just smushing my inks down and spraying them with water and then pressing them onto that embossed textured cardstock piece. And again, if you don't like how it's looking, just keep layering it. It will work out just fine for you. So getting those colors laid down. And then I'm going to heat set them. And I'm still not 100% happy with the way that the way that this piece looks. So I'll just bring in my Cracked Pistachio and layer that over top. And this time I'm using a life-changing blender brush from Picket Fence. I like to use this on textured pieces because the bristles seem to get into those grooves and divots and dips in your cardstock. The standard blending brushes that I used in the beginning, I like to use those on smooth surfaces. So I'm still not happy with this, so I'm going to pull in that fossilized amber and just keep adding until I get, you know, I kind of want more of an antique aged look to this piece. I thought that was kind of the feeling I was getting from that embossing folder. And again, remember, I'll have everything linked over on the on my blog, and I'll link everything to the rest of the Scrap and Stamp blog hop. So this is all 4 backgrounds all done, and then we will begin to move on to actually make these into cards. So what I did with this one is I used the My Favorite Things wonky stitch die set, as well as these smirky messages to the mix and match messages for this happy birthday, it's all downhill from here card. So really simple, just matting it. The next one I used snarky messages again. You're a hot mess, but life would be boring without you. I just used a Lawn Fawn stitched rectangle die for this one, and then again layered it on some cardstock. The third card is Have Courage and Be Kind. I really like that sentiment. That's with that textured embossed piece. I like how that turned out, and that's again with the stitched rectangles die. This one here I used the Concord and 9th, and I used the Say Hello set, the dies, and the Cartabella stencil for the background and some heat embossing. Again, head on over to the blog, check out the prizes that you can win for leaving comments and sharing. Thanks so much for stopping by, guys, and until next time, happy crafting!